Do you know that we become like what we hate if we take on the spiritual identity of the person that we hate?
Oh, that's wild.
Yeah,
That's scary,
yeah.
right?
What's in them make a home in us, and that's why we become like our parents. Even if we say we don't want to be like them,
Mm-hmm.
you'll become like them anyway. And even if you don't do the same kind of things they do to their children, you will still screw the kid's life up because anytime you have any anger at all, you have no love. Because God's love is love all the time.
Yeah.
It's never hate, and anger is the nature of Satan. And so we have to completely forgive our parents, meaning stop hating them, and then God will forgive us. Then we'll operate from all love all the time.
What do you think about siblings doing that with siblings?
Yeah, same thing.
Because I hated my brother.
Yeah. But see, when you fall away from God by hating your parents first, you don't love anybody at that point because you're now seeing by darkness and not by the light of God.
Yeah.
Because anger is the nature of Satan, and his nature is dark. And so you were incapable of loving your brother or anyone else, including yourself, because there's no love in angry people.
Yeah.
And so, do you love your brother now?
Oh, yeah.
You guys worked it out?
We did. We never talked about it. We just grew up, you know?
Right, right. Is he older or younger?
2 years older.
Why did you hate him so much?
Oh, we fought bad. Yeah, like he, well, okay. Back in the 80s, there was new wave and there was rock music. Like
Yeah.
Duran Duran and all that stuff, Flock of Seagulls, and then there was like Ozzy Osbourne. So my brother was a new waver, and he would not let me, like, we were at the mall one time, and I wrote about it in my first book, and the mall was 15 minutes from our house, and I said, Jeff, can I get a ride home? And he said, no, you little scumbag rocker. I ain't giving no rocker a ride home. And his friend was like, come on, Jeff, give your brother a ride. He's like, no, he could take the bus. And I took the bus. You believe that? Lord, I forgive my brother right now on air. No.
That's funny, man. And so what made you decide, you know what, I have to forget about Korn. I got to work on my life. Things are not right for me. What was the breaking point for you?
You know, it just wasn't what I thought it was going to be. I thought the rock stardom and millions of dollars were going to fulfill me too. You know? And I was just confused that I wasn't happy with all that stuff. And I wanted to go search my soul with God to find out what's wrong with me, you know?
How did you know that you needed to search for God since you were not raised as a Christian?
Well, I'm talking about after I hadn't met him at church and all that stuff. Yeah.
After that, okay.
But yeah, I was just, if I didn't have my 5-year-old daughter, 6-year-old daughter at the time, I probably would have killed myself. But just because her mom left and I was on the drugs and I felt like I needed to stay here and raise her before I did something stupid, you know?
Right.
That's what got me, you know?
Korn was a very, very popular band at one time, right? Everybody and their mama loved that band.
Yeah, it was wild. It was like we were part of pop culture in the late '90s. It was like us, and Blink-182, and then you had like bands like Tool, and then you had on the other side pop music like, you know, NSYNC and Backstreet Boys and Britney Spears and all them. And we were like at the same level as them on MTV all the time. It was like rock music against pop, you know?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it was really, really, really big. And,
how did you get into that band? How did you help start it? How did you become a part of that?
Yeah, I'm a founding member. I actually grew up with all of the guys.
Really?
In Bakersfield. Yeah, I met the singer in 4th grade, the bass player in 7th grade, the other guitar player in 9th grade, and the drummer in 10th grade. So, and we just, you know, we had a bunch of friends, and we would play in other bands. And then about 5 years after high school, us 5 ended up in L.A., the L.A. area when we formed Korn.
And you never imagined that it would do what it did, right?
Oh,
Become
no
as
way.
popular as it did.
No way. I mean, once we got our singer and I heard him sing and I saw his stage presence, I thought that we would get a record deal. But, you know, I didn't think it would get as huge as it did. No way.
Right on. You said that you became a Christian, then you went home and you had this experience with God.
Yeah.
What was that?
Oh, wow. You know, it says in the Bible about the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy,
Yep.
peace, patience, goodness, kindness, gentleness, faithfulness, and self-control. And I remember I was on meth for 2 years. I was taking Xanax every day. Sometimes I get to sleep from the meth, you know? And so I was I felt like a gutter. I felt like I was in the gutter. Every day I felt just gross. And I was sitting at home. I had gone to church once. I received Christ and all that. But I was at home reading the Bible. I was still going back to the drugs, back and forth, you know, off and on.
Right.
And I was reading the Bible one day, and I was like, how do I know if this is real? You know, it's like, it sounds good, and I want it to be real, but
That's
how do I
right.
know? And right then, I felt a presence come around me in the room. It was like a love from another dimension, and
Yeah.
I felt all that fruit of the Spirit. It was love, joy, peace, patience, and all the fruits of the Spirit. And I just felt like heaven touched me,
Wow.
and I was instantly changed then.
Yeah.
I've never been the same.
Tell the folks how to get the book and then tell them why they need to get it.
Oh, wow. On the spot. No, you can get the book wherever books are sold.
Yeah.
You know, if you go to my website, brianheadwelch.net, there's some extra cool stuff that you can get if you get the book. You know, we throw in some stuff. But you can get it at Amazon, Barnes
Right.
and Noble, all that. And you know what? In my life, I share a lot of personal and deep, intimate things with everybody because I see that it helps
Yeah.
people a lot. And so I poured my soul into this book as well. And it's about when I became a Christian and walking this thing out with God and him taking me through the process. You know, I gained all this money so easy.
Right.
And within 3 years after I met the Lord, it was all gone. And I went into some bad business moves and you know, got some strange characters around me that kind of drained my financial situation. And but it was my journey. I really believe it was my journey because part of me wanted to see what would happen if I did lose everything. Like money, I trusted in money. It was like an idol to me.
Yeah.
And so when it was gone and shattered and crushed down to nothing, I was able to see God's provision
Right
that
on.
He, you know, and so I'm glad I went through it. But and I also, you know, I share the story because the Lord had led me back to Korn recently, and I share the all the decisions and the fears and the resistance about going back there, and I also share about my daughter and how she, you know, teenagers in this world are facing a lot of stuff, you
Yeah.
know, and so she went through every fear I had for my daughter with boys, with the social media, with suicidal thoughts, depression, any of that. She started harming herself and cutting her arms, and so I got her into a program and I explained all of that, and a lot of tears were shed when I wrote this book. You know, it's funny in spots, but it's also very, very painful in spots. But I think it could help this generation. So that's one reason I tell people to get the book, to help this young generation.
How old is your daughter now?
She's 18 this coming July, and she graduates on Monday from
right
high
on.
school.
That's great.
Yeah, I'm like freaking out.
She, I read about her story when she lost her rat. Remember when the rat got
Yeah.
away? That was a trip,
Yes.
huh?
Oh my
And
gosh.
you would pick her up at school, and the first thing she asked is, "Did you find my rat?"
Yeah. I think it was Cody. Was the name Cody?
Yeah.
But yeah, she's like, her rat got out. It was a mouse, but I called it a rat.
Right.
But she got out of the cage, and I mean, stories in the book. All I know is I started smelling a putrid death smell in my walls in my house, and sure enough, I had to. I waited 10 years before I told her what truly happened to the rat.
I know you tried to make her forget about it by taking her to the movies, and
Yeah.
out to eat, and none of those things worked.
She just wanted Cody back. Oh wow.
Were you surprised that your daughter ended up on drugs and wanted to kill herself as you did? Did that surprise you that she turned out? I mean, that happened to her?
It surprised me more than anything because I had left all that lifestyle,
Right.
and I gave my life to God. And my prayers were over the years, keep my daughter close to you. let her know how real you are, you know, because I made the right decisions, and I raised her in the faith. You know, I was teaching her, I was praying with her, I was taking her to church all the time, and so it felt like God had just left my prayers empty, you know, and unanswered, and so I had to really work that out with the Lord.
Right.
But deep down, I knew that He was trustworthy. So it was like I was fighting this struggle against believing and resenting God, you know, a little bit. Like,
Right.
how could you let this happen? So, but, you know, just like He always does, a few months later, she was doing way better, you know, after it got really bad. Now she's doing great.
Did you ever apologize to her for letting her down as a father? Because when men don't love God with all their heart, soul, and might, along with nothing else, so that God can live through them to love their families and guide them, is nothing but darkness. And so fathers let their children down by not being the light in the home. Did you ever apologize to her for that?
I did.
What did she say?
She's forgiven me, and
Yeah, man.
yeah, we brought everything up. There's been multiple times, so just
Yeah, I had to go to my father too and forgive him for not being there for me. My mother turned him away from me. She hated him so much.
Oh, wow.
So she kept him away from me, and I grew up with that emptiness.
Yeah.
Like, it didn't matter what I had, I still felt like something was missing within me. And I knew as a kid that I wanted my father, so I went to him, and we had a talk, and he told me what happened with my mother, how she wouldn't let him come around. And I was able to just let it go. I never really resented my father. I just had this longing for him.
Yeah.
And when we worked it out, we became father and son. I was an adult, but we became father and son.
Wow.
And my soul was completed, and it allowed me to return through him back to God. And now I see God as my father, not as God. Because when I saw him as God, he seemed like something that I can never be a part of, really. Like he was distant from me. And so all I did was pray to him or talk to him, but I didn't feel one with him. But when I forgave my father, it allowed me to become one with him too, and I didn't know that would happen. So I'm getting to remember him again, because as children, we know God, but when we turn away from our Father, we also forget about who God was and our relationship with him. So now I see him as my Father, and I'm getting to know him again, and there's nothing like it.
That's powerful, man.
Isn't that something?
Yeah.
But it's all about forgiving the Father. You're never going to get back to God until you can forgive your earthly father. It's just not going to happen. You can read the Bible until the cows come home. You can hoop and holler and give donations and color your Bible, listen to tapes, and
Oh, wow.
but
Yeah.
until you love your earthly father, you're never going to get to the Creator again.
Wow.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.